Now Oliver was as good as new, but he was still worried about cars. "I'd rather not use them," he puffed to himself. "We're sorry, Oliver," they said. "It's really my fault," said Oliver sadly. "I shouldn't have fallen in the turntable well."
He just grew unhappier, and he was rough with the freight cars. "You're no good, Oliver. You're dangerous. We want Percy. Percy's far too busy to be bothered with the likes of you." And Oliver bumped the freight cars hard. "You silly engine," shouted a workman. "It'll take a long time to repair this turntable, which will cause confusion and delay."
Thomas puffed by with the mail train. "Hello, Duck. Going fishing? I'd take care if I were you." "Why?" huffed Duck. "Well, for one thing," puffed Thomas, remembering his own experience, "if fish get into an engine's boiler, they always cause trouble. And for another, fish can be awfully smelly. And I know what I'm talking about. Good night."
Fish were being loaded into his cars. The work took a long time. The fishermen were using old equipment, and Thomas was worried. "I'm going to be late for Henry at the docks. He won't like this. Please hurry up." Thomas was rudely interrupted. His driver and fireman laughed. "Phew," sniffed Thomas. "What a pong!"
Now he could see the trees growing amongst the others on the hillside. Henry always felt better for being here. He couldn't really explain why, but his driver understood. "It's peaceful," he said to Henry.
"If you can't push cars properly, Henry, why not talk to a tree instead? You know how much you like the forest."
A small engine with a tall funnel stood sad and alone in the shadowy siding. His driver was huddled in the cab, keeping him company. Rusty's engineer agreed to be Stepney's fireman. So off they set, past the bleak and brooding lines of diesels. "Where's he going?" they hissed. "Just down the line," replied Rusty. And they chuffered quickly away. "We've done it," whispered Rusty. "We're over the border and back on our own railway. Mission accomplished."
"Oh no! We're in the scrap yards!" Two diesels approached. "Got you this time, Stepney. You'll make very fine scrap indeed. Buffer 'em, Bert." But just as it was about to grab hold of him, it stopped. There stood Sir Topham Hatt. "It's a good thing I'm visiting this yard tonight. Saving you from scrap is becoming a habit, Stepney. Please stop it."
He rushed into a tunnel thinking how clever he was, but there was trouble ahead. "Cinders and ashes," said Thomas. "I'm stuck." And he was.
Later, Thomas had to help clear snow by a tunnel, but it was too deep, and he got stuck. Thomas was very cross. "Snow is nothing but trouble," he moaned.
Now there are only 3 or 4, for the farms and factories send their goods mostly by truck. Toby is always careful. The cars, buses, and trucks often have accidents. Toby hasn't had an accident for years, but the buses are crowded and Henrietta is empty.
The next engine to meet a lorry was Toby.
Well, well, well. No wonder this railway's a mess. You belong in a museum, not working in a quarry.
"I might look old, but I'm very useful."
Useful? Pah! Replied the lorry. Just you tootle off.
"Toodle," spluttered Toby. Toby was shocked to see yet another lorry. "What are you doing here?"
We 3 are doing your work now. You're too slow.
The foreman spoke to Toby's driver. "I'm sorry. Times are a-changin', I'm afraid." "Toby might be old," replied his driver, "but he's reliable." "Come on, Toby. We'll go to the farms. They'll still use us." Toby trundled sadly away.
I think something's up. Toby looked up at the sky. Where? Not up there. Down here, laughed Thomas. How can something be up when it's down?
You're just a small red engine with ideas above your station.
"I can't see any," said Percy. "Where are they?"
Any what?
"Ideas above the station. The sky's empty." "Like your smoke box, Percy."
You're just the engine to tackle George. Who's George? That steamroller over there, replied Skarloey.
One day, George the steamroller was waiting for Percy to take him to a new workplace. George was being rude to Rheneas and Skarloey.
You're just worn-out wheels on worn-out rails.
"You need rocks for your roads," replied Skarloey, "and we're helping you."
I need to flatten little engines in the scrap yards,
retorted George. Then Percy arrived to take George away. He was still rebelling.
Railways are no good. Turn them into roads.